Hey guys, so it's another vlog. No. Great way to start. I just wanted to catch you up, like a channel update. Well, it's not really a channel update; it's a studio update, I suppose. Basically like the kind of stuff that I used to do. If you guys were enjoying watching my what was it, American Truck Sim, Euro Truck Sim, the stuff that I used to do, and then Gold Rush more recently, where I used to just sound off on stuff that I've seen, stuff that I've been thinking about, and just let you guys know, I wanted to do it like a talking head kind of thing, as opposed to linking it to a game, because a lot of people really liked it, but weren't really interested in the game, so I was like, well, what's the point in mixing the two? So yeah, a couple of things I wanted to talk about. First off was house hunting. So house hunting. I talk a lot about how we Scottish people speak really quickly, and I try to slow myself down intentionally for doing videos, but then sometimes it slips out and people can't understand me. Yeah, so house hunting. So if you don't know, I've been house hunting for the last 3-4 months, something like that. We started in January, and I had like some issues with the mortgage and things, but we got that all sorted out in April. So we've been kind of seriously house hunting from the start of April. We put in an offer for a house about 3 weeks ago now, 2 weeks ago. That actually got not rejected, but it got like pipped to the post. Someone bid more than us, and I mean that's just kind of the way it goes. So in Scotland, the way it works is that it goes to what's called a closing date, which is like the final date that you can put in an offer, and basically all the offers are sealed, and no one gets to know what each person offers, and it's just whoever basically bids the most money at the time. It's a good and a bad thing, because it basically makes you bid as much as you can, basically. But if you're like, oh, I could have stretched an extra $2,000 and they only like got the house by $1,000, you're like, oh, I could have like stretched for that. But yeah, I mean, easy come, easy go. As my mum always says, what's for you won't go by you, and I fucking hate that saying. I hate it, because I don't feel like life is predetermined. But anyway, I think that's a story for a different vlog. So yeah, put in the offer for that one, didn't get it. It was lovely house. But then went to see a house yesterday, and just fell in love with it. Like the rooms are all huge. 3-bedroom house, 2 living rooms, 3 bathrooms, just absolutely beautiful house. Massive garden, gym in the back garden, like just perfect. So we're putting in an offer for that, and we don't get to find out until Thursday. The funny thing is, though, it's going to be on, there's a TV show called Location, which is like a house hunting TV show, and the house that we are looking at, they're actually going to do filming there for that. So yeah, probably won't get that one either. But I mean, fingers crossed, because it was a lovely house. But yeah, so that's like the stress for now. The other thing is I've just come back from Perth. Well, it was actually Aberfeldy, which is around Perth in Scotland. We're away there for a couple of days, just to kind of refresh the batteries, because we've been going at it hard with work and house hunting and stuff like that. They just kind of need a bit of a break. So went there, and I kid you not, it's like land of the ducks. There was ducks everywhere. Like as we drove up to the cottage, there was 6 ducks just sitting in a row in front of the cottage, and I was like, yeah, I'm home. I am home. And they have like a duck lake that's just got hundreds of ducks on it. So yeah, I made loads of new friends, loads of quacking friends. No, it was great. It was awesome. It was just like, it was kind of just what was needed. And then when we came back, we went to see the Falkirk Wheel, which, if you don't know what the Falkirk Wheel is, it's basically a feat of engineering used for moving canal boats from different elevations. So it's massive, man. It must be like 50 foot high or something. I mean, I could get up the stats, but I'm lazy. So, but no, it's like one of these feats of engineering. It's really cool. It basically just spins them, like it's like 2 things like that, and it just spins them all the way around. Google it if you want to see it. It's pretty cool. But I hadn't seen it. Like the last time I'd seen it was when it was just built, and it wasn't even in operation. So that was the first time we actually getting to see it move in real life. It was cool. It was a nice day, so we decided to go for a detour and see that. So that was sweet. Yeah, I mean, it was good to get the batteries recharged and then back on the grind, and then we went to see that house, and we were blown away by it. Oh, the next thing is, just before I left, I actually got some Kickstarter rewards, and I tweeted out about these. And if you haven't seen them, they're so like amazing. They're so amazing. Just punching the mic. It wouldn't be a Stadio video without a good mic punch. No, they're really cool. I'll show you. So excuse the mess. I do apologise. I think I'm showing a bit of flesh there as well. Hey, bit of arse crack in the screen. Don't demonetize me, YouTube, please. I love you. So I got like I'm not going to show you all the Kickstarter rewards, but they're pretty cool. Like this guy, Derek Laufman, Canadian guy, actually does he does like a load of chibi style stuff, but it's really cool, and it's like his art book with all his like different bits and bobs. And he does, I don't know if you've seen that, but there's like Star Wars, and he does Marvel, and I think he's actually doing like a comic strip for Marvel, like a kid's like chibi Marvel stuff. I'm trying to find, I think I find one of the Marvel characters. I'll show you. There's a Deadpool. See, it's really cool. Look, you've got this is a great Marvel character here. The Batman's. Yes, I know he's DC. Calm down. And that's Derek's own like comic book that he done, and it's awesome. I'll leave a link in the description below, but if you want to check it out, it's dereklaufman.com. It's not an ad. Like I love the guy's work. I've been following him on Twitter for ages because he posts like in progress shots and things, and it's so cool. But yeah, there's a load of stuff like prints, and I just dropped that on the floor and I'm very sorry. Prints and like Venom postcards and things, and it's really cool, and some stickers. Which I don't know what I'm going to use the stickers for. But yeah, I was actually like blown away when I got that. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I mean, I paid for it, but no, it's really cool. Yeah, the next thing that I want to talk about, or like the last thing, I'm going to go into like the hashtag triggered section here, which is basically the type of stuff that I used to talk about in American Truck Sim and things. It's more thought-provoking than anything else. It's like a thought exercise, kinda, I guess. And the reason it's a thought exercise because it kind of goes against the grain of what most people would kind of say, which is me. If you've ever watched any of my videos, I kind of believe a lot of things that kind of go against the cultural zeitgeist at the time, but that's because I'm sensible. So the reason, the thing that I wanted to pick up is today is the Women in Games Awards, and I was looking at it, and I get triggered quite often when there's anything it's like, oh, this award is for just women. And the reason I get triggered by it, and it's not because and I was going to say it's not because of some sexist reason, but it is because of sexism. And the reason being is that I feel like whenever you segregate sexes like that, unless it's something physical, as in the Olympics, or like a sport, whenever you're segregating sexes like that, you're admitting that the women can't compete with the men, and that the women need something separate, because you don't see a men in games awards. So why, like it says on Twitter, I was like, is this like, I feel like it's a low-key diss to women in games that they're not good enough to compete with the men, and I think that it's quite insulting in a way. And I'm not trying to like oh my god, millennial, oh, everything's racist, everything's sexist, but I feel like this, I feel like it's I feel like they're going for equality in a way that is inherently sexist, saying that, oh yeah, well, women need more representation in the gaming industry. And it's like, well, this isn't the way to do it. Singling them out and being like, yeah, look at these amazing women, isn't a way to do it, because you're literally just saying that, look at these amazing women that are overshadowed by the men, which is why they need their own categories. And I don't know, it's something that I seen and I was like, yeah, that's not really great, is it? And like I said, you don't see a men in games awards, and I think if you did, if there was a men in games awards, there'd be so many people kicking off about it, which I find strange and hypocritical. Because why? The same reason that you would be triggered by men in games awards is the same. Well, I would be triggered by men in games awards as well, but it's the same reason that I'm also triggered by a women in games awards. It's saying that they can't compete, that there's some physiological reason that men and women can't compete in the same category for those awards, which is bullshit, because they can. They're both as good as each other. And that's equality. They are both as good as each other. You can have a woman coder that's just as good as a male coder. You can have a woman artist that's just as good as a male artist. You know what I mean? There's no fucking difference there. It doesn't matter what your fucking chromosomes are. Like, you can still be as good as each other, which is why I find that having a Women in Games Awards is so insulting. And there was another thing that I was also talking about on Twitter the other day, pretty much the exact same thing, except instead of swap sexism for racism here. And there's a TV show, a Netflix show called hashtag Dear White People. And I seen it and I was like, what, like, you're generalizing all white people here. And I was like, okay, let's do a wee thought exercise with Twitter, because I knew the way it'd go. And I posted and I was like, hashtag Dear White People. I'm thinking about starting up a show called hashtag Dear Black People. I wonder what the reception would be. And there was a load of people getting triggered off the back of it, to which I responded, you realise that the reason that you're getting triggered by hashtag Dear Black People is the same reason that you should be getting triggered by hashtag Dear White People, is that you're generalising all white people. You would be generalising all black people if you done hashtag Dear Black People. It doesn't matter what, and I've said this so many times, it doesn't matter your colour of skin, right? There's privileged people, there's underprivileged people, there's literally zero privileged people, and I don't understand why people just like to group up these colours, group people by the colour of their fucking skin. Like, surely that is 100% racism right there, by grouping all white people. And I actually got told that by a black girl from London that I am a privileged white person, and that is why hashtag Dear Black People wouldn't work, and why hashtag Dear White People is a thing, because I am a privileged white person. To which I actually spoke to my brothers and some of my brother's friends about this, because it really pisses me off whenever I get told that I'm a privileged white person. And the reason it really pisses me off is because I grew up in the East End of Glasgow in the 90s amidst more gang violence than you can imagine, when the average life expectancy for a white male was 37 years old. It was the lowest life expectancy for men in the entirety of the developed world. It had the highest knife crime rate in the entirety of the developed world. And I am somehow privileged to have grown up because of the colour of my fucking skin. And sorry for apologising, but it's one of those things that kind of touches home. And the reason I was talking to my brothers about it is because they were a bit older than me, and actually, like, some of their friends were involved in the gang violence and things, and they lost a lot of friends. One of the guys that I remember quite vividly was a boy called Michael Brown, and you can Google it, and like, you can look up the story if you need to. He was actually, I think he was 15, 16, and he was thrown in front of a bus, and he was a white male. He was thrown in front of a bus because of where he was born, because he was born in a specific area, and he was in their area. And there was, to show you how privileged it was, there was another one of my brother's friends who hung himself with his Rangers scarf, and just down to the how underprivileged this area is and was. I say it is. It's not. It's the area that I grew up in is definitely getting out of that now. But it was the government calls it an area of economic deprivation, and that's what it was. So to have someone turn around to me through the young people that I've seen die, the funerals of people that should never have been put in the ground, and for someone to turn around and tell me that because of the colour of my skin I am inherently privileged, you can fuck off. Basically. Like, people have got no fucking clue. Anyway, to put it on a more, to bring it back round and full circle there with the start of the Dear Black People thing. Doesn't matter what colour of skin you've got, you're going to find privileged people, you're going to find underprivileged people. And I think the best example of this was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I'm using this without a touch of irony. That show had Uncle Phil, who was the rich, he was a lawyer. I think he was a lawyer. Then the aunt, who was like she was a teacher. I think she was a lecturer in a school. And they were loaded, and they had this house, and they had like the spoiled kids. And then you had Will, who came from the ghetto. And you had Jeffrey, who was their butler. And it's like, if that doesn't show you that even black people, there's a full range of privilege, then I don't know what does. And I mean, you can talk about slavery all you like, but before white people had black slaves, I need to remember that I'm coming from Scotland, where, yeah, we didn't really have that many slaves that weren't white. Before white people had black slaves, black people had black slaves, Egyptians had Egyptian slaves, everyone enslaved everyone. And I understand, like, it was a terrible, let me just say, I'm not putting down anything that anyone went through during that time, because one, I'm not Kanye West, and two, what a fucking idiot, and two, I'm not an idiot. Like, I understand it was fucking horrible, but I think people need to grow beyond these cultural divides and stop seeing colour where there is none. And I think that's where it takes me to the Women in Games Awards, if you want to go back to the start, and that people keep forcing differences and keep forcing these lines, these gender lines, these race lines into everything where it doesn't need to be there. And I think that that's the thing, that's one of the main things that's going to hold society back from actually having true equality, is that you're too busy looking at the differences in people instead of looking at what makes us the same. And as I've said many times before, you peel the skin off of me and I'm just a fleshy meatbag. You peel the skin off of a black person, they're a fleshy meatbag. Pull the skin off of an Asian person, they're a fleshy meatbag. We're all the same underneath, so why do you need to draw these lines? It's ridiculous. Anyway, I think that's all we've got for today. But if you've got anything else that you want to add to the conversation, do pop in the comments, because I would like to see a bit of a debate go on. If it gets to an argument, you can fuck off, and I will be deleting comments because I don't like to see arguments. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine, but as soon as you start calling people out and calling people names and stuff like that, then no, I'm not having it. The other thing is, I want to do a bit of a Q&A, so if you've got any questions, then do drop them down in the comment section below. And if you are one of my Patreons, at the, I think it's the $5 tier, then I'll be posting another Patreon post so that you can put your question in there. And just so you know, obviously, like, the Patreon's questions will come before any that I see in the comments, etc. So yeah, because I mean, they pay for it. But anyway, as always, thanks a lot for watching. I've been Steejo, you've been awesome, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.